Thank you so much, Melvin, for the invite, and I'm so happy to be here. I'd like to especially welcome the students from all around the world. It's really been an incredible day full of so much insights. So, yes, I'm an extroverted nerd because in school I was a nerd. I was studying engineering and computer engineering. But when I came out to the workplace, very similar to what the previous presenter was saying, I found out to be I'm extroverted. I love to sell. I like to meet people. I like to be out there in the world. So I'm a bit of one foot on this side and one foot on the other. So my name is Basil Ayass, and I lead our education efforts at Google Cloud in the Middle East, Turkey, North Africa region. And today, it's my personal take on what I see the future of education is. How do we drive academic success in the new normal? And it is no surprise to anyone. COVID-19 has been a huge impact on education. In the span of just a few months, 2 months, February and March, we've seen 1.2 billion. Let me repeat that 1.2 billion students move online. Incredible strain on technology, incredible strain on the students, but also the teachers. How difficult is it to stay engaged? How difficult is it when you don't see the person on the other side of the microphone, on the other side of the camera? I'm here sitting in my room presenting. I have no idea if you're fiddling on your mobile phone. I know some of you are, so please stop doing it. I don't know if you're listening. It is really difficult. And the worst is when we think about our underprivileged children that were not able to move to online. There's been countries that have struggled to move their schools, and they've been shut down since February or March this year. I know many countries in the Middle East that have struggled to move to a hybrid learning modality. And this is causing a strain not only on the students and their parents, but also on the schools and the universities. So today, the financial pressure is immense. McKinsey is forecasting a $19 billion loss financially. Why? Because enrollment is down, because a lot of freshmen are deferring and they're not going to university this year. And the problem is 83% they expect a tuition discount because we're in a remote learning, hybrid learning situation. And the problem is schools, I've been listening to all the universities and schools today, and a lot of the pitch is around our campus. It's about our labs. It's about the soccer fields, the sporting facilities, the food, the dorms. But if we're going to be in a hybrid space, we spend less and less time on campus, less and less opportunity to differentiate. Which is an issue, and that impacts the diversity in campus, with minority students struggling to get the right equipment to be able to do remote learning, and the student experience suffers. It is not the same, attending EduTrex this year than it is last year. It is not the same attending a remote class. It is not the same, working from home. However, technology is here, and we have to take this opportunity and the momentum and take advantage of it. I recently learned a new word called opumentum. It's a portmanteau of opportunity and momentum. So the opumentum is there in education, and we need to make COVID an opportunity, not just an obstacle and a challenge. The bigger challenge that we see in the world today, COVID will pass, but the bigger challenge is something that has been ongoing for many, many years. In low-income countries, students and education is only available to a minority of the population when comparing it to high-income countries. So you see here, 67% of students in low-income countries are going to school. 24% are completing secondary education, just 24%, 1 in 4. Whereas when you look at the developed world and high income countries, that's 76%. So that's an increase of 52%, which is really the learning gap. And as Sundar Pichai said, the CEO of Google, technology alone will not improve the education, but it can be a powerful part of the solution. So I'm a big believer that technology can be a powerful innovator and drive to help improve tech education and to help close this gap. Many of the trends that we're seeing in education have been spoken about earlier today. The problem is there's a sense and a perception that education hasn't moved with the time. Today, only a third of US college students expect to graduate with the skills that are will needed to succeed in the workplace. Why? Because we don't know what the workplace is going to look like, because the workplace is changing so drastically, so quickly. Uh, and this can be seen on campus. When you go to these universities, you see only less than 20% of the students are actually going to the Career Center. So for students out there, a good question to ask the universities is, how much of your students are using the Career Center? How many of the graduates were placed using Career Center services? It's very important. And today we live in a world where, you know, growing up at home, going to school to learn, and then going to the office to work is no longer the case. It is no longer, childhood education phase and work phase. Today, we can be children our whole life. We can, and we need to be studying and being educated our whole entire life. Lifelong education is the way to go, because the technology is changing, because the workplace is changing, because the skills required are changing. And we also work from home, we work from the office, we work from anywhere today. So we live in a very different world, and the education sector has to transform to keep up. Now, the problem is the population is also aging. So more and more people are getting older. So in 1990, only 9% of the population was over 60%. Today, it's somewhere around 15. In 2015, it's expected to be 21%. So a huge increase in people getting older and retirees not planning to retire. So we got 72% of pre-retirees, the people that are approaching the age of 62, 64, that say, hey, I'm not ready to retire. I'm healthy, I'm strong, I love my work, and I will continue to work. So the problem is, once you've graduated around 20 and you're looking at retirement age at 60, that's 40 years. You know what has happened in the past 40 years? The world is a completely different place. So today, 85% of the jobs, 85% of the jobs that you will be doing in 2030 have not been invented yet. Think about that. So if you're a student going to college, you'll graduate in 5 years, in another 5 years. We don't know what job you'll be doing. That's why we currently have more than 1 billion people on planet Earth with competencies and skills that are misaligned with the work they perform. Today, the industry has changed, and students are asking more from their education institutions. So your users and you, students, you expect great, flexible, personal experiences. Let me tell you how. I've worked with students, recent higher education freshmen, as well as graduates from K through 12 schools across the region, and everybody wants easier access to self-service solutions. The heyday of advisory hours and office hours are gone. I am not waiting for my professor to conduct an office hour on Monday at 4 p.m. for me to go and speak to him. I want self-service. And this wait is no longer, email is no longer being used by millennials. Email is slow. Today we've got WhatsApp, we've got chat, we've got live, real-time assistance. So when we go to school, when we go to university, why don't we get that same level of service? 75% of students today prefer personal interactions. So they want an interaction that is personalized to them, even if it is not with a human. So think about that. Even if I'm talking to an artificial intelligence, and when we survey students, they say, in fact, when it comes to sensitive topics of performance or underperformance, when it comes to sensitive topics of emotional well-being, mental well-being, I actually don't want to be talking to a human. So the artificial intelligence, the leap in technology that has happened over the past few years has now enabled us to deliver on that promise. We can build artificial intelligence to help with students, real-time assistance, personalized interactions, self-service solutions. So when I say personalized interactions, what do I mean? I mean that today we've got cloud computing, and that's the organization I represent. I work for Google Cloud, and we've got artificial intelligence, and those are very powerful tools that will enable education to move into the future. How can we succeed in the new normal? Optimizing student acquisition, but most importantly for the students in the audience is personalized 24 by 7 support. Today, the technology is available. And if you think about it, you know, uh, personalized teaching, personalized learning, you know, a textbook was made in the 1800s, and given to a student. All the students in the class received the same textbook, regardless of their backgrounds, regardless of their interest. And they read that textbook and they were tested on the same test, regardless of all the differentiation that makes them a student, a person, a human. That is very different than their colleagues in the classroom. It reminds me of newspapers. My father grew up buying the newspaper in the morning, and that newspaper was printed and distributed across the whole country and across multiple countries. And it was the same newspaper. So whether you're interested in economics or politics, whether you're interested in aviation or Bitcoin, cryptocurrency mining, computer engineering, mathematics, or science, you got the same newspaper. Today, technology has changed, and today everybody gets personalized news. Everybody's logging into their Facebooks, they're logging into their Google News, and they're reading personalized articles that were written and address their needs. Education and learning is about to go through the exact same revolution. It's going to be personalized. It's going to be personalized for you. Uh, and today the technology is there. We can create and generate in a dynamic, agile manner, personalized content. So when we see a student struggling on a chemistry exam to answer a certain kind of question on the periodic table, guess what? Tomorrow you will get a lesson on those elements in the periodic table. So personalized testing, personalized learning is the future of education. And lifelong learning is my last point here. Career services and alumni engagement. It's so important. You don't, like I said, you don't go to a university, spend 4 years on campus, and then go back to your life. Today, it's a partnership, it's a lifelong collaboration, whether you're learning at the university for that degree, or whether you're doing postdoc, whether you're doing postgraduate, or whether you're doing lifelong courses and certifications and master classes. That engagement is so important to ensure that you are still on top shape. So, at Google Cloud, we work with universities for those universities in the audience, and we help you attract and enroll the students, support and engage them while they're there, but also graduate and employ them. So it's a lifelong, it's a time, life cycle approach to student success. And this can be done using AI, using virtual assistants for 24/7, using tutors that are artificially powered by artificial intelligence, using AI to help you with student retention to make sure, somebody's drops are grading, somebody is not attending all their classes, somebody is not feeling well and, have dropped out of their student club. Uh, that person can be identified early. We run predictive analytics to find out who are the engaged students and who are the ones that are at risk of dropping out. And then you can interfere. You can come in and have an intervention and try to help address the issues that are causing this behavior, and then retain that student and make sure they are successful and graduate and get employed. So just to give you an example, I have a very small video. I've seen the screen and the way Edutrex has been organized, so you might not be able to read, but I'll read it for you. So this is something that we've rolled out at Strayer College in the U.S. In Irving. They use machine learning to build an AI student assistant. So this is great. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, any time of year, you log in and you say, "Hey, what's my GPA?" The AI goes out, queries the right systems, SISs, LMSs, all the stuff in the background, and gives you your GPA. And then the student says, "Oh, I'm struggling. I have a 2.7. Do you offer tutoring?" And you're speaking English, and that language can be any language, because AI understands multiple languages. So even if you have students that aren't native in the language of education, those AI chatbots can change that language. So you can speak to them in English, you can speak to it in Arabic, you can speak to it in Urdu, you can speak to it in any language you want. So the question is, who is my dean? And then it tells you your dean is blah, blah, the contact is here. You can email them or call them. And then the student says, what courses do I need to take to graduate with a minor in, security? And then the bot can go check out the courses that are still required. And then you can ask them, can you give me the syllabus for CIS 333? Because you see that that's one of the requirements to graduate. And then that syllabus is then queried and shared with the student. Very similar to this, artificial intelligence chatbot that helps students. This cuts down on the requests for advisors and counselors tremendously. So at Strayer, 74% of the volume has gone down because they have introduced an AI chatbot that is suggesting personalized learning paths, looking at the strength of the students depending on how well they've done in the humanities versus sciences versus mathematics, looking at what the syllabus is, what the offerings are, and suggesting personalized paths to the students, learning paths, but also handling the enrollment operation in an automated, very friendly manner. So this is just one example. So what's really our vision for the future of education? I think education institutes cannot remain education institutes. I'm going to say something very controversial. Education institutes must become or partner with tech companies. Today, education is moving at incredible momentum and pace towards technology. And if you don't ride that train, you will be outdated and you will struggle to survive in the new normal. You need that innovation in the DNA of an organization. You need to provide that immersion experience. We're seeing universities and education institutes introduce AR, augmented reality, VR, virtual reality. And this cannot be only for the engineering students or only for the paying students or only for the on-campus students. Today, we have to make sure that this technology is available for all students. Even if you're sitting at home, you should be able to access augmented reality, virtual reality, vocational learning, especially in a setting where it's not so much academic, but vocational. Today, hands-on learning is very important. And when you're doing it remotely, a lot of vocational institutes have given up and said, no, it can't be done. Well, guess what? It can be done. You just need to use technology. And that technology today is so affordable. With Google Cardboard, you just get a cardboard, you put your phone in it, put it on your headset, and you've got a VR headset. Done. Campuses are moving to be smart. I remember the days when I went to school, we used to go to school 5 days a week. We had 2 days weekend. And then we had field trips. And those were the times when we actually left campus to go and explore the real world. That dynamic, I think, in the future is going to be flipped 100% around. We're going to be living in the real world, learning in the real world, and then we're going to have campus trips. So we're going to decide that once a week, once a month, twice a week, doesn't matter. We're going to go to campus and meet our colleagues physically because we are working with them and studying with them on a day-to-day basis, 24 hours a day, no matter where we are, behind our VR headset, behind our Google Meet, online video conferencing solution. We're going to start spending more and more time out in the real world and less time on campus. So campus has to be smart. It has to be sustainable. With millennials, sustainability is an extremely important aspect. And it's today informing their decisions on which campus and which university to go to. And in the future, it will only increase in importance. And accessibility, we cannot just think of the able-minded, privileged students. Today, it's very important to think of low income, to think of students with disabilities, and all sorts of diversity there. And again, the most important for the future, today, we need to generate content automatically, and we need to deliver it in a personalized manner. And when I say personalized, I mean personalized. Doesn't mean that, we take the chapter on, calculus and, give a advanced or a normal or a basic version of calculus. Today, technology is available. Tutoring and learning can be done in a personalized manner. Every single student will get a completely differentiated experience based on their understanding, based on their capabilities, based on their background, and based on how quickly they can absorb the material. And people have different abilities. People have different, abilities to absorb different subjects, and that's what I mean by personalized learning. And most importantly, and this is something difficult for universities to accept, today we don't have to rely fully, like most universities do, on internal content or our professors, our curriculum. Today there's a vast array of external content being created on a daily basis, whether that's on YouTube, Wikipedia, or MOOCs like Coursera and Khan Academy and others. And to introduce students and be able to offer them a personalized learning path, a lot of the internal content that you have can be complemented by external content from those sources. Don't be worried. Don't be scared. It's even better for you to broaden the horizons, to enrich your offerings with external content. So, the future education, if you're a university, it's going to be exciting, but it is dangerous. There are unprecedented challenges. We need to digitally transform. We need to partner or become tech companies. We cannot afford to stay in the status quo. We will not survive if we do that. And, small marketing push for Google Cloud, we're here to help and help you. So if you want to look at that digital transformation, do reach out. But for the students out there, it is very important to think of the next generation, to think about the skills that are required in the future for those jobs that we don't know what they will be. So those skills are not going to be the historical, the traditional subjects. Those skills, I believe, are going to be, learning how to learn, not learning what, who, when, learning how, learning why. And if you learn and if you graduate with a sense of, I can learn anything and I want to learn anything, and every day I will learn, you will be successful in the future. And remember, technology always, I'm a bit biased, but do lean towards cloud first, do lean towards machine learning, artificial intelligence. Today, the technology is available. It's extremely simple to pick up. It is no longer, I remember growing up, we used to talk about rocket science, nuclear physics. It is no longer rocket science. It is so simple. The technology itself is being used to simplify the subject of technology. So, do pursue careers there, learn how to learn, and I hope you found my session informative and interesting. At Google for Education, our mission is to help learning happen anytime, anywhere. So thank you so much. Again, that's my email address at the bottom, basilayas@google.com. Happy to field any questions now, Melwin.